Saint here, and I'll be going over the patch 5.1 patch notes for League of Legends. So let's get into it. Alright, Echo is not going to be released with the patch, just like every other new champion comes out, so can't really talk about him. Who cares? Talk about him when he actually does come out. Akali, they basically lessened a little bit of the change they did last patch, and that's mainly because what would happen is Akali would be trying to chase somebody down, and she would like dash, but she would just dash so far forward through them that you could like stun her while she's dashing through, or you could just like run in the other direction. So now they just like lowered the maximum dash range you'd have, and I also lowered the amount that you dash when you have a mark of the assassin on people. I saw some people like Zion Spartan like going off really hard in high challengers with Akali, so I'm sure now that they have this like quality of life changes to Akali, that people will just go back to smashing solo queue with her, and she'll probably be a pretty good counterpick to some matchups. I'm not really sure the matchups, but all you Akali mains probably know about it. Cassiopeia, she was a really strong laner because she has good sustain through her mana, refund on her E, and she also heals for a fuck ton whenever she hits the target with her E. Like the healing on the E gets just like ridiculous late game. So they lowered the AP ratio on it by a little bit, not by too much. It's like 0.04. It was only 0.1 before, so not that high. But the base amount will stay the same, so I'm sure the E will still be like pretty decent. But yeah, just a little bit nerfed. And then the E now will only give 1.5% of Cassiopeia's maximum mana back on top of the mana cost of the spell, as opposed to 3%. So this is like, if you put it in perspective, like tier gives like what, 1250 mana or something like that, something similar, something around that amount. So like, let's just say 1,000 mana. So like 3% of 1,000 mana, you get like 30 mana back, and now you're gonna be getting 15 mana back when you have your tier like pretty high stacked. So it's like a pretty bad nerf, I'd say, but I think she'll still be fine, especially if she has blue. Like Cassio will still be good to go. So she'll still be like a pretty top tier champion IMO. Yeah, I think she'll be all right. So now Gragas, he was like the top tier jungle. His like level 2, level 3 ganks are just really nasty because you can flash body slam, body slam flash, or just like even just body slam somebody in general. And like the collision range on it is just like bonkers big, and like the belly flop at the end of it is super big too. So you can just catch people with that CC really easily. And now it's just going to be a little bit harder to hit. So they kind of gave him the Jarvan treatment to just like they lowered the impact range of his abilities just to make his level 2, level 3 threat range a little bit smaller. I still think Gragas will be a very good jungler, but he won't be just as abusive as he was before. Jinx, they made it to where you do not get the 140% attack speed bonus on her Q until you're level 18. So in the earlier levels, it'll be a little bit lower. It'll probably be like what, like 100% at level 9 or something like that, or like in the 90s. Somewhere near. Like I don't feel like matching up the math on it, but this will just make Jinx not be able to snowball as hard in the early and mid game, and also make it a little bit harder for her to take turrets because, you know, Jinx is just a turret killing monster. Also make her dragon control and her Baron control a little bit weaker. So I think this will kind of push Jinx down to the tier 2 AD carry status, whereas like tier 1 would be Kalista, Sivir, and Urgot. So I think Jinx is still okay, but she's just not top of the pack anymore. They did a lot of interesting changes with Karma. They made it to where her mantra is going to be on a lower cooldown from when you auto and cast abilities, so this is going to be nice when you're in the higher levels, but you won't really notice in the laning phase or in the early levels. And now the W can be used on monsters to do damage, and has a 0.9 AP ratio as opposed to 0.6, so now you can actually use her W on Baron and on Dragon and things like that, so she has a better objective control, and I'm sure some jackass out there is going to be jungling Karma because of these changes too. Plus a 0.9 ratio on a single target ability with the W, pretty damn nice damage. Like that's pretty high damage, a 0.9 ratio, so I like that change. And also when you mantra it now, it doesn't increase the damage by 300, it just makes it to where it roots them even longer. So I probably won't use my W too much unless I'm trying to get health back, or if I'm just trying to like lock somebody down permanently. I just think the empowered Q would probably be better. Inspire now has a lower cooldown at max rank, and shields for a tiny bit less, and costs less mana. I think this is good because once you have max CDR, you'll be E-ing around, like most people use E for like movement speed, and then like some for shield and trading or whatever, and this will just allow you to like skirmish a lot better because your E with max CDR will be up around like what, like 4.8 or something like that, so you'll be able to move around the battlefield a lot better, and I think the E change is really good for scrapping it out and just doing short trades. And then also when you a Mantra of the Defiance, now what it does is it increases the shield amount by 210, and then also that amount has a 0.3 AP ratio on it. So I think like in the late game when you have a ton of AP, that'll be like an 800, 900 shield. And then on top of that, instead of just doing a flat area of effect shield to everybody, now you get 50% of the primary target shield amount. So that means you can just like shield somebody for like 800, 900, and then everybody around will have a 450 shield if you empower this. But it won't do the 300 damage anymore. So I think like if you have a lot of AP, you could negate like a Rumble ultimate, a Victor ultimate, like Annie ultimate. You could negate a lot of damage with an empowered Mantra. So I think situationally this will actually be pretty nice, and it'll actually be a pretty nice ability for support Karma as well. So I think Karma, you'll definitely be seeing some of her, like even top, mid, support, maybe even jungle in the next patch, and I think these changes will all help her out a lot. I have to see how she feels though, because she still doesn't have an ultimate at level 6, but I think it should be okay. Leona, they made Zenith Blade harder to hit. Didn't really think Leona was a problem. She's still like a second, third tier support. It's still like a good counter pick against Annie, and like still okay against some of the other tank supports. So with the rise of Alistar, I think this is a weird change since Alistar is like a hard counter to Leona. Just kind of a weird change to see on Leona overall. They changed Lulu's mana regeneration. It's now 2.5 more base, but the growth is lower, so this is basically going to give support Lulu more mana, but lane Lulu will have a little bit less mana regen in the late game. I don't really think this is too big of a change. I don't really think it changes much at all, so Lulu is still the same champion, still does all the same stuff. Rek'Sai, they lowered the base health by 40, so it's now 570 instead of 611. Rek'Sai is a really abusive level 2 and level 3 gank, so I think that this will tone this down a tiny bit, but I still think the majority of the ganks that you were getting off before, you'd still be able to get off. So, I still think Rek'Sai is going to be the top of the food chain, pretty much. Like Rek'Sai she's just like the least into the jungle right now. It just does everything well, like splits late game, good early game ganks, good early game pressure, good skirmishing, good objective control, like good, like the passive's so good for vision checking around. Like you have good escape, good engage. Rek'Sai is all around like just a good champion. So. I like the Rek'Sai and I'm sticking with her. Rise, this change is going to either, like, I believe this change can make Rise, like, super OP if people how to figure out how to lane them. That's just mainly because once you hit 6, you have, like, the Desperate Power at 6 seconds. And then you also just, like, even from when you have, like, your base of abilities, you have 6 seconds on your Arcane Mastery. So if you have enough mana to pump out, like, your full range of abilities at level 6, like you have blue buff on Rise, I think you can do a lot of damage, and I think even just after you get your base core, you can be really strong. And then they also increased the Q damage by 20, so this will probably just only allow you to farm better, because it's really hard to hit people with the Rise Q in lane, because they can just hide in the minions. So I feel like if Rise, you figure out how to lane him, I think he'll be a pretty decent champion, but I still think his laning is going to be kind of wonky, so I'm not really sure what you would lane him against. Maybe some top lane matchups, but he's still really easy to gank, so I don't know. I'll leave it up to the laners to figure it out, but if people can figure out how to lane him, I think he'll be like a beast champion, just because of the Desperate Power and Arcane Mastery changes, actually allowing him to use his passive instead of, like 3 seconds was way too short before. Sejuani, they nerfed the W damage to 6% instead of 10. I think this will I think right now Sejuani is like a tier 2 jungle, and I think this will just like kind of keep her down there even more. Considering they did nerf Gragas and Rek'Sai, I still think Sejuani will be decent because her ultimate's just ridiculous, and the amount of CC she has is great. But she won't just be like two-shotting people like she was before. So I think right now Sejuani is like a tier 2 jungler, and with this change she'll stay there. Sion, bug fix, who cares? Who the fuck plays Taric? Like, they made his mana cost and his Q lower. Like, who plays Taric, man? Come on now. Ancient Coin, they made it generate more gold and also build into a slightly better item, because the item you build it into gives you more gold, and you get 10 health back per nearby minion dead, as well as better mana regen. So this item will be kind of like really good on Soraka, maybe Nami. Some Alistars might go for this if they just want to not get Righteous Glory and get like CDR health items afterwards. I think Nomad's Medallion will be an okay. Yeah, actually, you might even want to get it on Annie. I think you want to get it on Annie too, maybe. Depending on like how bad this hurts your lane phase, I think you could maybe even get it on Annie. I think altogether the Ancient Coin, just looking at the numbers, I think it'll be an okay substitute to Targans and the like the other starting items. So I think Nomad's Medallion might be okay. I think it's actually viable now. Before it wasn't viable. Now it's like it's actually a viable purchase. Alright, this is one of the most interesting changes to me with the patch. So now they have Ardent Censor, which I thought looked really crap when they were doing the original changes. So now Ardent Censor's attack speed buff now also grants 30 magic damage on hit. So that means if you have like an Alistar heal or like a Janna ultimate or a Soraka ultimate, something like that that heals everybody around you, every single person on your team will get plus 30 damage. So it's like a mini like dragon burn buff almost. Like imagine 5 people all autoing through 30 extra damage while having 15% attack speed bonus. Like that's a lot of extra auto damage coming out of your team. So I think you could do some pretty nice stuff with this and like manage to squeeze this in like certain team comps. So I think overall like Ardent Censor might be an okay item, especially in solo queue. So I have to see though. Like I mean, it would. Yeah, if you have this item like Ardent Censor, you do Baron and Dragon so quick too. Now that I think about it, so Ardent Censor might be a pretty nice like third item or something on some supports. Maybe even a second item in some cases. Bilgewater Cutlass and Blade of the Ruined King. Now we have 100 extra range. So they basically just reverted the nerf that was there before. This will help Twitch and Vayne and champions like that. Banner Command's cast range is longer. Whatever. Meditation now restores 1.5% of missing mana every 5 seconds as opposed to 3 mana regen per 5. I think this will be a buff to champions that get tier, but it will be a nerf to champions that don't really have high mana pull in general. That would go into utility to get this ability. Expanded Mind now gives 75 mana as opposed to 5% maximum mana. So to put that in perspective, tier gives 1,000 mana. So before, if you had tier, you get like 50 extra mana out of this plus your base. Now this gives 75 mana flat. So I think for champions that get tier, this will be a very minor nerf. But for everybody else, this will actually make it a buffed ability. Still not sure it's that good. But I think you might look to get this on some champions like Orianna that have like kind of weird mana pulls that you can go through really fast, but you still want to get like a Morellos or an Athenes or something like that. Inspiration, never liked this talent, never will, just because it's like a rubber banding and back into the game effect, and I just don't think it's good. Bandit's not good because this is melee. Like when do you auto people Alistar and Nautilus? It just doesn't happen. So it's a useless mastery. Intelligence now does 20% CDR on your activated items. That means your Crucible, your Locket, your Targans, your Righteous Glory, your Talisman of Ascension, all those like nice, really great items now have less cooldown. So I think this is overall really good change. Buff to supports. Wanderer, this is actually a nerf, I'm pretty sure, depending on how they calculate it, because 5% movement speed increase, like the lowest movement speed in the game is 300, and 5% of 300 is still more than 20 flat movement speed. So depending on how they do the math on this, I think this will actually be a nerf overall. Because the other way this could be done is it could make it, let's say you had 300 movement speed, you actually have 320 base movement speed, then you have a percentage calculated item like Righteous Glory or Talisman of things that increase your movement speed by percentage. And then I'm pretty sure by the math, like the way it calculates it out would make it a buff. But overall I think this is a nerf. Super minions have less MR, so now you're able to clear them out more. Now ranged people cannot leash things for more than 3 times, so they'll just like reset, which is pretty annoying. It's going to be kind of weird. This is actually going to be annoying for handing off blue also. Let's see, and then they did Howling Abyss change, doesn't really matter. Ranked inactivity notification, doesn't matter. Twisted Tree Line, doesn't matter. Alright, that's the end of the patch notes, guys. I hope you enjoyed them, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and the champions to look out for this patch are Karma, she's going to be good. Rise, I think he'll be good. And any champion that heals with Ardent Censor. I think all those champions will be good. All those champions that those changes affect will be good. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.